Listen to this. When I was down to my very last, now you did it. It's not in no time you did it for me. Press down. Jesus, He made a way for me. Good old country song, come on. He made a way.
Normally, I don't sit in interviews, this long, but I love it when I know that somebody's interested in ministry. When I see you and I talk to you, I know you know my core. You were there when I started with a group carrying 17 cars down the highway, just to sing, 2 songs. Remember that stuff. And we were kids. When I look back and think we were kids doing those things, God was preparing us for such a time as now. So Durham had so many great musicians and artists. There was a guy who I'll always love and honor and respect. His name is Nick Allen. He had a group called the Modulations at the time. And man, I wanted to be like Chanel, like Nick, all the guys. And I was young, so to just sit in their presence, and I'd go to Nick's house and just sit in a chair and listen to him riff and sing, and had a little range, had no range close to that. And just to to allow the Lord to bless you now to do what you want to do. And, to look back at those guys, there's always a thank you in my spirit, always a thank you in my heart. My father was great, excellent singer. My grandmother, as you know, was wonderful vocalist. And it's just all through our family, we were able to always see, to me, the real role models that really, I guess, was the positive point to push me into my destiny. One must never lose sight on where he comes from or where she comes from. And it's really called being focused and understand that there was something divinely appointed for you to do. And so when I come home, it's like a part of the plan. And I'm not through. And I've been struggling for about 10 years as to what can I impart in this city in a major way. Not just my music on the radio or not the CDs at the mall, but what can I do to do something else. I was in a meeting last week where a millionaire came and sat down with me to buy my story. He wanted to buy my story. And I think the first offer was $7 million. 2 weeks later, it was $10 million. And it's just not for sale. I'll give you $10 million to leave, let me do it myself, But my point is, coming home is a part of that. It's a part of the whole dream and vision to be able to come home. You're taking care of mother, taking care of grandmother, and doing the things that father, who died in 1981, would have been proud of. So Durham will always be play a special part in my career. If you notice, every album I do, I always say I'm still from Durham, and I love this place. I came off the road, and it was a dangerous time in my life. I stopped singing. I wouldn't touch a piano for about 6 to 8 months. I wouldn't go in the studio. I rebelled. I'll be honest. I rebelled because I gotten tired of the rat race of the industry. But I was encouraged by a pitfall. I was in a situation where I felt I didn't belong. I didn't belong to John. And God just inspired in my heart and allowed me to know that He'd called me to do this, and this was what I was destined to be. And man, a new day. That's where the Project Strength came from. And from that day to this day, I can't wait to see a piano. I can't wait to hum. It's me. I can't get away from that. And when I'm old and talking like Grandpa, I'm sure even then, there'll still be a groove in me. My baby boy is 2 years old, and he walks around, and to get my attention, he'll get into a rhythmic pattern. And I just see that, to know that this thing is passed down from my grandfather and from my dad and to me and to my son. I'm focused in a major way. And to deal with that, I got to tell the truth. We used to be boys. No, we hung out in our day, and we had a wonderful time. And for me to accept you saying that to me, I have to mirror it back to you. I hung out with people who wanted to be, we had deep conversations at 15, 16, and 17, 14, 15, 16. We were talking about having and sustaining and leaving Durham and coming back to do, all these things. And I'm sure we thought we were crazy. Excuse me, but what happened? God had instilled in us the vision, and it wouldn't die. We had to purposely write it down and make it plain, as the scripture tells us. And so that alone keeps me focused, knowing that God called me to do this. You know, I have friends, you know, I fellowship with, and I hear that, you know, they used to call it the suck-up thing, or when people are around you are always wanting, or I deal with it real well. First of all, it doesn't mirror me. So I'm not consumed by it. I'm not turned on because you're John Key crazy. But if I can let you know in that same John Key situation or lifestyle, Jesus is there. Anything placed in my way, I laugh at it, literally, because I know who I am, and I know it's not over for me. So I deal with it by really letting people know what God has for you is for you. Calm down. Let's don't talk about music all the time. How's your family? Yeah, so the ministry has blossomed or has become literally a flower from the seed of who I used to be. I Miss You, Dad was a strong song for me. In 1981, my father died, and you knew how close I was to my father. One of the great things about that song was it finally allowed me to deal with his passing. Man, I almost lost my mind because I really, you know, the man-child thing, I respect you saying, but when I really look at it, I still depended on him for everything. I didn't have to work. You know, I was hustling out on the street and literally knowing Daddy, if I called and need $300, $400, I got it. You know, we had that relationship. So when he died, it actually opened a door, man. I had to literally remove the curtain and say life, man, job, responsibility, and all those things that everybody was used to doing. You know, I didn't have a clue. So I have a peace about who I am, and I think it's instilled in me with the ability to create. And when you have a creative spouse, I think it's important that you fall in line with that, or you will be sitting on the corner drinking. But no, one of the positives I feel, honestly, is being equally yoked to the point where we understand with our heart of hearts that God anointed us for a time as this. And he puts everything strategically in order that it falls in line. You know, the mic works with the camera, and the camera works with that, and it all comes together to become a great magazine. And literally, that's my life. You know, yours magazine, mine a song. The melody goes along with the chord structure, and the chord structure, you know, with the melodic structure, and it all falls in line. And believe it or not, and I say this not because I'm on camera, I say this because it's the truth. God is so structured John's life now that I'm doing this stuff with ease. What I would share with the young people of America, of this city, any other city, is they must understand that God has something for them. If yours is what you do and mine is what I do, I thank God for one great thing. We tapped in. We tapped into our destiny. So as wild as that sounds, or as weird as that sounds, these kids have to find out who they are.
Listen to this. When I was down to my very last, now you did it.